the money stream.
Try it out, man.
But there's no way to. You know how we have to figure it out though?
One more. We try it out.
No, we have to try it out. Yeah, you're right. We gotta try it out.
No and.
Try it out, man. Try it out.
No but. What's the opposite of yes and? No but.
Oh, it sounds good. It sounds good. Sounds good. It sounds
Perfect.
good.
Peeking.
Oh wow.
Oh wow.
Okay, we're up to halfway on the mic.
Oh wow. Peeking. Oh wow.
Okay, yeah, we're good to go.
I think we should do the Tom Memorial before.
That's a good idea. Yeah. Okay. There's one thing I want to do first before we start. I want to plug the Ethernet cord in and not use Wi-Fi. That way we won't drop the stream. Just have to do that. He's in the middle of a game, so let me have one Ethernet cord long enough, and it should be fine.
Okay.
But
Cool.
There's no way to know unless we try it out.
We gotta try it out. Try it out, man.
Okay. All right. So
You ready?
You want me to stop the stream and start over?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh,
Nope.
should have started with that, but
We good?
we are. Yeah.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first edition of the Three-Step Flop for Season 3?
We're in season 3.
Season 3 of the Three-Step Flop, however, Season
4
4 of the season.
the Bad Quarterback League.
Yes, of the Bad Quarterback
Very
League.
important distinction.
Yes. This has been going on since 2014. It is now 2018, and every year we seem to get a little bit better. Right, Tony?
I mean, I like to think so,
Yeah.
and not just in this league, but as a person.
As a group.
Well, no, not a group. No, I'm not talking. No, I don't. Not as a group. As me, just improving
you.
my own life and becoming a better person and a happier person.
I think your beard says differently, but let's move on. Tonight's sponsor is Wicklow Wear.
Oh, why don't you tell the folks at home?
I will. Wicklow Wear, brought to you by Patrick Wilson, Liz's cousin. Wicklow Wear, pick it up at your nearest folk festival. So that's tonight's sponsor.
I'm blown away, and I got to be honest. I've always liked Aaron's. How do you say it?
Wicklow
Wicklow.
Wear.
I've always liked Aaron's Wicklow Wear hat.
I've been told that the Wicklow are Wicklow mountain ranges in Ireland, and the Uchtmans/Wilsons are Irish people. So
okay.
it's a great clothing brand. They make some good stuff. I'm a fan.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna have to get myself one.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I missed the festival that you found yourself
You
at.
did. It was
recently.
a great festival. Whispering Beard in Indiana. Friendship, Indiana.
Spread it and try it out.
Yeah, try it out.
But we're not here to talk about that.
We're not. But I would like us to have a sponsor every week.
I think I think it should be arbitrary.
Yes.
And I think it should have really nothing to do with what we're doing here
Absolutely.
or what we do on a daily basis.
Agreed.
And I'm cool with that too. So we'll have to brainstorm something like that.
Agreed. Well, it's good to be back, Tony. Let's talk about last year and how things ended up. Let's talk about how things started out and how Marianne, the first year that she was in the league, came out just crushing it for the longest time.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but her team name, the Locust Horrors?
Locust Horse.
Which, if you could explain to the folks at home where that originated.
It was on the podcast. It was on the Three-Step Flop right here. And I believe I said a horde of locusts. And
Yes.
Marianne was listening to the...
You said something about descending on the league like a locust horde.
Yes.
And
yes.
she misheard, or some might say heard correctly,
Right.
locust whore.
Right. So her name, she went with that name and it stuck for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Who knows if she'll keep that this year?
I mean, I think that she's probably got to lead off with it, and maybe she can. Some people take the strategy of changing your name mid-season, which I think Lauren has done traditionally.
What Lauren does?
No. I mean, like within the season.
I see what you mean.
I usually stick with the same name throughout the season, but you can almost use that as a form of trash talk, which I will say I think this league could use just a little bit more. It
could always use a little more trash talk.
You can never have enough, in my opinion.
Not in this league. But some of us keep our names from the very beginning. Speaking of someone who's had their name since day one, Austin Rabat, Dirty Butt Fumbles. He was the champion last year.
Indeed, he was.
And he came out from behind. Like we said, Marianne had the lead for the longest time.
Yes.
And then Austin worked his way up slowly, took the lead, and held on to it pretty well.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, if you look at that final point total there, 322.
That's dominating.
And the Locust Whores coming in second at 281. And you have to give it up to Austin, obviously. I mean, let's take a second to just a guy who I will say we're going to talk about the draft value statistic, the highly contested draft value statistic later. But I will say he's been a virulent, what would you say, enemy or hater of the draft value statistic.
However, last year he was the number one in the draft value.
But the draft value statistic also did not influence his picking.
No, and I don't think it should.
Some might argue.
I don't think it should.
Well, that's subjective, Gator.
Anyway,
so I don't think you should impose.
Austin's draft value statistic last year was 27.
Right.
A high of 27. The next below him was 21 at John. Interesting draft value statistic. FDQ had the worst draft value in 2017 at negative 34. But in 2016, he had the best at positive 26.
Okay.
So it looks like if you score about 26, 27, 25, you're going to be the best.
You mean per week? Right.
No, that's total. That's a total.
Oh, in the draft. I'm sorry, in the draft value statistic. Gotcha. Okay, yeah.
If we want to talk about league average, the number of points that you score, in 2016, you had to score a little over 12 points to be the league average.
Okay.
In 2017, you had to score 13.5 points. So I would expect to see something similar.
I mean, that also shows you that we're improving as a league.
Well, it's hard to say that because we have had point value changes, which we'll get into with Brian about the way that we've scored things differently every year. But this year, as far as I know, we don't have any changes from last year in terms of points. Right.
Well, I don't think there are any proposed new rules, which I think we're always open to that. And Brian, I think, has actually added them mid-season in the past.
Right.
That's not something. It's not like a typical league, which I think is one of the other things that makes this league so great. Is the I would say expedited democracy of what we have in this league. Right. Everyone's just like, is this a good idea? Yeah, let's do it. Let's implement it.
Agreed. But yeah, so I think if you can score over 13 points, you're going to end up in the top half. That's what you should be shooting for every week, is to score a little over 13 points. Obviously, the people who do well every week end up with like 20, 30, 40 points maybe even. But when you score that much, then you're going to end up drafting in the 12th spot the next week.
Right.
Speaking of the draft, we just did our live draft.
That's correct.
We went with a Pong game style draft, just like we did in 2014.
Yes, it's a kickback to the original.
Yes. So we had everyone's name. For those of you who weren't here, we had everyone's name on the bottom of a cup, and everyone came in. They threw a ball. They landed in the cup, and if the ball landed in your cup first, you were the last pick. So the last person with a cup was the first pick. So to go over this year's draft, in first place we have Drew, then Cam, then me, then you, Austin, Lauren, John, Taylor, Aaron, Brian, Alex, and Marianne. And can we just say, I am so happy that Marianne is the last pick.
I mean, I think it's only appropriate for her to finally face, I don't know if justice is the right word, but it seems like she just had sort of an easy path right from the get-go.
Yeah.
And I don't think that we were quite honestly, I don't think we were hard enough on her as a first time as a rookie in the league. We kind of took it easy.
Said, it upsets me that Cam has the number 2 pick.
Yes. Cam, who decided it was more important to go to some college football game, I think. I don't know. It wasn't NFL, so I really don't care.
Right.
He decided that was more important than to be here in person for the draft. And that also extends to Marianne.
Which she got what she deserves.
Which is
though.
exactly. But Cam, I guess it's rookie luck. I don't know what it is. I mean, Marianne experienced that last year. I think all you could call that was luck.
Speaking of rookie luck, here's what I think is something that led to Marianne's success. I think that we all come in with these biases of who we think are bad quarterbacks, who have done well for us in the past. McCown's, Bortles, and then they start doing really well, and we stick to those guys.
Well, yeah, it's sort of like it's a lot of anecdotal evidence because you're only watching this guy maybe 2-3 times a year.
Right.
You might not be paying all that much attention to him.
Marianne didn't have any of that bias last year.
That's true.
Now the thing about Cam, though, I think we all know he kind of helped out Marianne a little bit. He was involved in the league a little bit. So I think Cam's got the worst of both worlds.
Oh, interesting.
Cam is going to have those biases that Marianne is going to have, but he's also brand new to the league, and he isn't quite sure how this works.
Right.
So I don't think that Cam is going to benefit from the same beginner's luck that Marianne did.
I think that's a fair assessment. But I also think, it's going to be interesting, the dynamic that goes on in the Farley household.
Yep.
As far as, I don't know if you watched the show The League. I think you did.
I have, yeah.
But I believe there's a character named Jenny who's married to a character named Kevin. Is that right? And they're both in the league, and there's sort of a lot of storylines around maybe withholding information.
Collusion.
Is there collusion going on?
Right.
Now, I think we can avoid the collusion problem in this league because I think they're both competitive enough that they're all out for themselves.
Right.
But there's also the fact that they're both sharing the same information. So maybe, I don't know, it's going to require a lot of out-of-the-house sort of research if you really want to get unfiltered info. And maybe if it were me, I would say no NFL talk, honestly. I don't know if that's too extreme, but...
Taylor and I don't do that.
Okay, yeah,
Taylor
I guess you would know because you guys are in the same situation.
We talk about it, but I think it's kind of up to the person who's ahead of the other person in the draft order to depict how much they want to talk about it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, if I'm drafting before Taylor, I'm not going to tell her who I want to draft.
Yeah.
But once I'm done drafting, then maybe I'll help her out a little bit. And I can see the same thing going out with Cam and Marianne.
So you're more of a happy wife, happy life type outlook there.
That's the way you got to live.
That's the way I read that. But that's fair. So Cam coming in at number 2. Good luck to you, but honestly, I hope you have bad luck. So Gator, you got number 3, and I came in at number 4. So we're back to back.
We got to be happy with
Messed
that.
it up. I mean, I'll take that any day of the week. I'm not upset about that. Austin, our defending champ, coming in after that. Lauren is that dead in the middle there at number 6 or 7. I can't count.
6.
Okay, and then we got John, Taylor, Aaron, Brian, a bunch of people who don't matter. I mean, let's be real. They're not going to be at the top of the standings anyway, especially Marianne. So that's the draft order. And here's your proof. If you don't believe me, it happened. Here's a bunch of cups in a row, and
that's right when I spilled some water. I'm cleaning up some.
Yeah, right. And here's some things that need to be moved out of my house.
Right.
So there you go. It's legit. If you weren't here, I'm sorry you can't verify it, but this is as good as it gets for you.
If you can't hear in the background, this is probably the most successful opening night of the podcast that we've ever had.
Without a doubt.
We have a lot of people here, a big crowd. A lot of guests that are coming your way. So I hope people are watching.
And I think we're about ready to get the first guest over here on the podcast.
Not quite.
Oh, no?
Not quite. Because
I forgot about...
There's a couple things.
Yes. Oh, my gosh.
Hold on. One thing. We're going to be asking these guests a list of questions, but I want us to answer these questions as well before anyone comes onto the podcast.
Okay.
So, Tony, I'm going to ask you, what is your strategy this year, and what do you plan to do differently than you did last year?
Okay, so the big issue that I had last year was taking naps in the middle of the day on Saturday.
That sounds like a problem.
It's a huge problem, but I'm happy to report I am pretty much off naps these days.
Good.
It is extremely rare that I would take a nap. The only time I would take a nap is if I would, was up really late the night before or something. It's never a thing I do when I get a good night's sleep.
Naps are terrible.
Yeah, and I've made the commitment to not lay in bed at any time that's not normal times when you should be sleeping.
I'm going to say I think that's going to be the most unique answer we have.
And I think it's also going to be the most effective strategy that we have too. Because every time I got auto drafted, it seemed to go poorly. Yeah. And I'm confident in my abilities. I might not know as much about the NFL and football this year, but I still think I've kept up on my quarterback knowledge to be competitive. So I'm not going to say I'm not calling a championship, but I'm saying I'm going to be in the hunt down at the end.
All right, I like it. I'll go ahead. While we're on the same question, I'll answer the same question. My strategy, at least for the first 6 weeks, is going to be to completely ignore defensive rankings.
Ooh.
That was
Well, yeah, I guess because it's when it's so early.
Right.
But are you going to go off of last year's information or no?
I'm not going to.
So how are you going to make your first couple picks? Well, let me just let you explain.
Yeah. I think I let defense influence me too much at the beginning.
Okay.
Especially, at the Ravens were supposed to be so good at the beginning, and then they weren't, and then the Rams became good for a while, and then they kind of fell off on defense, but then they came back. So I think I'm just going to ignore defense for the first few weeks at least. Then I'll care about it more a lot in the end when they start to prove themselves.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense because it's not gospel, and we had this discussion last year. I was skeptical of what made a number one ranked defense because the metric that a lot of people were going off of was yards allowed, which I made the argument that is not a good gauge for how good your defense is because you could just have a really bad offense that puts you in bad situations a lot where your quarterback's always throwing interceptions, right. So you're on the field more. I think that points allowed is a better gauge, and also you don't know, like any stat, you need a lot of data in there before it becomes reliable. So I don't think that's the worst strategy out there, but I do think that you might struggle in the first couple of weeks.
Sure, that's fine. But I've already struggled in the first couple of weeks, so at this point I need to just give something new a try.
Well, if I know anything as a Cincinnati Bengals fan, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results.
Right.
So I think that it's smart of you to go out and try to change up the strategy.
Thank you. All right, next up, you last year in the middle of the season in our podcast correctly predicted the Super Bowl champion.
I did.
So with that being said, we're going to ask you right now, Season 3, Episode 1, who is your Super Bowl champion?
Wow. I don't know why I wasn't prepared for this question.
Yeah, you were one of the ones who brought up this question.
I got to say, my Super Bowl champion, the New England Patriots.
Oh.
And let me tell you why.
Wow. Shocker. Go ahead.
Let me tell you why. Because Tom Brady is really good. And everyone wants them to lose now because everyone hates the Patriots.
Sure.
And it's very similar to my thinking, not to bring some other sport into this, but my thinking on the New York Yankees.
Oh, God.
Everybody roots against them.
Oh, my God.
Just because they have a history of losing. Or I'm sorry, just because they have a history of winning, everyone roots against them. So I'm going to go with...
You think they'll get one more?
I think they'll get one more.
And then
you know what?
Brady's done?
No.
No.
I think he's going for another one.
Okay.
Brady's getting at least 3 more. Take it to the bank. He's getting 3 more titles before he retires.
All right. We can go over this episode later when that happens.
Yeah.
I honestly am not prepared at all for this season. I'm not prepared to tell you who the champion's going to be. Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to pick a name out of a hat. I'm going to say the Vikings. I don't know, man.
Gator, I want to ask you something. Who's the quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings?
I don't know.
Okay.
Is it Bradford?
No.
I don't know.
It's I'm not sure I know either.
But when it happens, I called it. I said it here first.
Okay, well, I accidentally showed this for a split second,
Oh,
so we might as well address it.
one more question.
Okay.
One more question.
Yep.
This year, I really want to promote rivals.
I was gonna say the same thing.
I really want our league to have some interleague rivals.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know who is your rival this year.
You want to know my rival?
Your rival.
I'm gonna say this is actually something that I've thought a lot about, and I think it would be really easy to pick somebody that I've had a long history of disputes with. So I'm not going to do that, Gator. I think it also would be easy to pick somebody who's brand new to the league.
Sure.
And I think that would just
And
be
you're
a
not gonna do
cop-out.
that. You're not
So
gonna
you
do
know
that.
what, Gator? I'm not going to do that either.
Okay.
So what that leaves me with is somebody that I have medium amounts of disputes with.
Sure.
And that person is Alex Evdeque.
Okay. I like
Alex
that.
Evdeque.
Calling him out.
Alex
Tony.
Evdeque.
Talk your shit.
You know what, Gator? I'm going to talk my shit.
Talk your shit.
Alex, you got to come on the podcast, buddy. Because if you don't, I'm going to talk shit about you every week. And I'm not going to stop until you're here in Erlanger at this mic with the purple cable. So get your ass out of Union Center down to where the real boys play in Erlanger.
So, Tony, what are you willing to put on the table to say that you're going to finish higher than Alex? Because something else that I wanted to promote this year is side bets between rivals.
I also agree with that. And I'm gonna give Alex a side bet right now. Alex, I challenge you to a bet. I will finish higher in the standings than you. And I'm extremely confident about that. So incredibly confident that I will buy you 3 Kraft 6-packs of your choice.
3? Holy shit.
I am putting 3
Damn.
Kraft 6-packs of your choice. Limit $12 per 6-pack. On the table right now.
Wow, Alex, the ball is in your court.
The other condition, you may not accept this bet in any other method other than on the podcast.
I like it. It's perfect.
So if you believe that you're going to finish higher than me in the standings this year, you're going to make a 35-minute drive, 45 minutes in traffic, down to Erlanger, get on the podcast, and we're going to talk about
Tony,
it.
we're not going to have a better call out than that. I'm telling you
Thank
right
you.
now, you set
Thank
the bar
you.
pretty high.
Thank you so much.
I'll go on to my rival.
Okay.
Talking about Kraft 6-packs. My rival is someone who still owes me a Kraft 6-pack from last year, season 2, episode whatever.
Okay.
When I was behind Aaron Carnevale.
Wow.
In the standings.
Wow.
And I called him out and I said, I'm going to finish higher than you. And he didn't believe me, and we put a bet on the table, a 6-pack from a year ago. And he still has not paid me that side bet.
I mean, it's a little disappointing, but here's the thing. I believe I'm a hypocrite if I say that, because I think there's an outstanding bet that I need to still fulfill as well.
With who?
I believe I bet a tequila shot
Oh, you did.
with you,
You did.
and I did not
You're right.
fulfill that.
We'll make up for that.
So I just want to say I'm not being a hypocrite. I acknowledge this, and it will happen.
All right, that'll happen. Aaron owes me a 6-pack, and I'm going to call him out again. I'm going to tell him I'm going to finish higher than Aaron, and I'm willing to put another 6-pack on the table. 1 6-pack. I'm not a nutcase like Tony.
Right.
However, I'm down throughout the rest of the year to add more side bets to the table. So for now, 1 6-pack on the table.
Okay.
Got it?
Okay. I can deal with that.
With that being said, I think we need to take a moment of silence. We need to take pause and think about those that we've lost this year,
Right.
those that have left us.
Uh-huh.
And specifically, we are talking about Tom Smith. Let's take a moment, people.
Tom was a great contribution to the league. We really loved every second of him being in the league. He was so dedicated that he auto-drafted often. And I want to be clear. I don't fault him for that. I appreciated the banter that Tom brought to the league. I think that having a good mix of people that watch the NFL and people that don't is fantastic for this league.
Agreed.
But the thing that I'm most sad about is that I feel like this means that I'm just going to hear less from Tom.
Yeah, maybe.
He's not very active. That's hard for me to swallow.
He's not very active in the group.
So I don't want to, let's not bum everybody out.
Not.
But if you want to say something.
Tom was a great man, and I hope we can see him again sometime. Maybe we can have him on the podcast if we can get him out of the house.
We would love to Tom, we'd love to have you on the podcast anytime you prefer.
For those listening in 2050, Tom's not actually dead.
Yeah, Tom's healthy and well, and if he was actually dead, we would never do this because that would be horribly tone deaf. But yeah, Tom.
Yeah.
We miss you, bud.
I think that's it. I think we're ready to bring on our first guest.
Yeah. Who do you think we should start things off with?
We got to bring on the commish.
I think that's the only fair way to do it.
I'll go get him.
Okay. Can you get me a beer while you're up?
Beer run.
And as we're doing a beer run, I will fill the time by probably not saying anything all that interesting. I would like a Budweiser if you could get one down in the door at the bottom right there. That would be excelente. Thank you. Oh, there he is.
Hello.
There's Mr. Commish. Welcome. Have a seat.
For the beer break? Absolutely.
Cozy up to that microphone there. We are
That's a good angle.
deep into the stream. We always want to put the guests in the best spot for the camera. I think we did that for you. So we've talked. We've gone over a few things. We're not going to rehash everything, but we did want to. I guess since we have a new member.
Right.
Well,
in
Tony,
the league.
Can we first introduce our guest? Who
are
we talking to
he's
today?
so ubiquitous. I just almost thought he needed no introduction, but you're absolutely
We're
right.
talking to the commissioner of the league.
Right.
This is the 2018 Bad Quarterback League, Brian Rankin. Mm-hmm. And Tony, if you would just bring up
a drop?
Sure, absolutely.
Yes.
I'll get his lower third up there. Just so
Very
you
well
can
done.
get the spelling of his name. That's the only reason why. Brian, welcome to the 3-Step Flop.
Thank you. And it's for accuracy more than anything, the sitting to pee.
And I totally understand that. Yeah. I'm not going to sit here and pretend
it's
like
not
I've
a
never
shame
done
thing.
it.
It's not.
There's been times when I've been at girlfriends' parents' houses where you don't want to make too much noise as you're splashing, so you sit down.
Go right.
You maybe
onto
turn the fan
porcelain.
on even just to be safe.
You got to be careful.
But that has nothing to do with this podcast.
No, it doesn't. Brian, welcome.
Thank you.
It's good to have you back. Are you
It's so
excited?
good to be back. It's weird how good it feels. It feels like forever since the last pod, since they usually stop around week 8.
Right.
So it was more than one off season. It was an off.
We are well aware of
so
that criticism. We're working hard to make sure.
I'm
that
happy to be
doesn't
back
happen
for 17 straight this season. I'm looking forward to it.
I think we just watched. Tony and I have been preparing all week long for this, and we just recently watched an episode with you in it.
Yes.
And I think Tony has us prepped to go ahead and watch that. Is that
Oh, what,
the
we have
case?
throwbacks?
Oh, I got clips?
We've got. I thought you did. Is that what you're?
No,
bringing
I don't
up?
have clips.
Okay.
No. I wish we were on that level.
I was real nervous. Could you tell how nervous I was in the original pod?
Not really, actually.
Sweaty palms.
I did actually watch that today. I went back and watched a couple of them.
Get some inspiration.
And I thought you were a perfectly fantastic guest. And with the help of your wife for moral support off camera.
That's right.
Was nice as well. And also occasional looking up things on Wikipedia.
Yep.
Right. So it's great to have you back. We've got some questions lined up for everyone, but we have some special questions lined up for you.
Okay.
We want to talk about the scoring system and all the league rules that someone new to the league might know about. So this segment here is called "Listen Up, Cam."
Listen up, Cam.
Listen up.
I missed the drop.
We were supposed to do that synchronized,
All three of
but
us
that didn't
together.
work out. So, Cam, pay attention since you're new to the league. Brian, can we talk about some of the scoring system?
Yeah.
Some of the ways that you score points in this league. It's obviously not a traditional league, so
Correct. And I downloaded the Yahoo app
Perfect.
to kick the season off to make sure I didn't miss anything.
That is so important.
So Cameron, if you've got your notepad ready, I'm assuming that you've had a little bit of time to prepare. So the Bad Quarterback League is basically everything you know about a standard fantasy football league turned on its head. So we have one-man roster. All you do is draft a different quarterback every single week. You are rewarded when they do poorly, punished when they do well. But it's on similar metrics to what you see in regular fantasy football. So touchdowns, interceptions, and completions, all those things are going to come into play. And let me see if I can. Do we need to run through all of them? Are there
Just
specific
some of the
questions?
highlights,
There's a few like
Major ones.
unique rules that are outside of the realm of Yahoo's capabilities that I feel like we maybe should talk about.
Gotcha. So so the standard ones that you'll see, we're a PPI league as opposed to PPR, sort of points per incompletion. So that's where your major baseline is going to come from.
which is a huge factor in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Incompletions are, when you're looking for a quarterback, you need someone who's going to throw a lot of incompletions.
Correct.
It's overlooked by a lot of people,
Yeah.
I think.
Someone who only throws 120 yards because they're on a running team doesn't help if they throw underneath all day and they go 10 for 12.
Right.
You didn't score very many points.
Yep.
And also, you have guys who will also run the ball too that can negate a lot of points very, very quickly.
Right.
So there's that as well.
Yep. So all that stuff is pretty straightforward. Just put a negative where a positive is in a regular league, and you'll essentially have our scoring system. Special things that we do that can't really be tracked by Yahoo are injuries and benchings, specifically punishment benching. So if your quarterback is playing so well, he blew out his opponent, sits for the last drive of the fourth, no extra points there. The way that we do injury points is you are awarded 2 points for every quarter or portion of a quarter that quarterback is out for. So if he gets injured in the first, you'll get 2 points for the first, second, third, and fourth. If he gets injured in the fourth, you'll get 2 points just for the fourth.
Right.
And that has to be an injury where he stays out for the remainder of the game. He can't just miss a drive and you pick up 2 points. Needs to be knocked out of the game entirely. We had some back and forth on that in past seasons when we first installed it. We didn't want to reward or encourage people being hurt. This is obviously a league where we get joy off other people's misfortune, but we didn't want people to get injured.
Yeah.
Right. Well, what I think it's done is it's essentially kind of worked as a baseline and almost a hedge for our managers. So in a regular fantasy league, if a guy gets hurt in the first quarter, you're diversified. You have other players that can still score points and you can win. You kind of get screwed if your player gets hurt in this league with no one else in the roster, so it at least throws in 8 points, so you're not completely lost.
Because the max you're going to get is 8 points, and 8 points is below the average of what a player's going to score each week anyway.
Right.
So 8 points is not going to help you in the long run.
Just pads the stats a little bit.
Right.
And then if anytime somebody gets thrown out for playing so poorly, I mean that's the cornerstone of what we're looking for in a bad quarterback. Someone who's so bad that you're not worth the time to remain on the field. The guy who we've rostered as being worse than you now has to go in.
So what do they get there?
That's a 10-point bonus. I have to go in and manually do that. So a lot of times there's a discussion there on if it's an official benching, and I'll go in and watch the highlights.
Cam, you have to pay attention to your quarterback and report your own injuries and report your own benchings because no one else is paying attention to that. And Brian has to do that manually. There's nothing that Yahoo can do to do that automatically. So that's something you need to pay attention to.
Yeah. Which is, I don't want to get too over our skis or anything, but the pipe dream of this league is to create a system that can score that automatically.
Oh, yeah.
There's a chance we could have that. You got to stay tuned
We're
to see.
talking years down the line.
Right.
Years down the line.
Once we get our Patreon up and we get some subscriber base, we'll be good to go.
We'll all be outside the corporate world by then. We'll all be running the Bad QB League out of this house.
BadQBLeague.com.
So I think that covers the points pretty well. Let's talk about how we draft every week, how that's different, and how, let's say I were to draft and then I find out new information that my player's getting benched. Is there a way I can redraft? How does that work?
Yep. So we are a weekly redraft as opposed to the majority of fantasy leagues where every year you meet up at BW3s for average wings and beer and you run through your fantasy draft of completely new teams.
I would challenge that average.
I
Subjectiveness there.
The wings or the beer?
Both.
Most of the wings, but
Most of the wings above
but yeah,
average.
the beer depends on what you're ordering. But I'm sorry to derail you. Go
No,
on.
that's fine.
So weekly redraft every week. Opening of the season, it sounds like it's a new tradition that we select draft order based on a blind beer pong game where players are assigned individual cups. After that, draft is set up based on the order of scores for the previous week. High score you pick last in the upcoming week. Low score you pick first. Everybody in between gets filtered out. So it's a 1 hour pick clock starting noon on Saturday. Give everybody time to post their picks on GroupMe. Once everything goes through, if somebody gets injured, if somebody gets benched and is officially taken out of the game, you can just claim another quarterback who wasn't selected in the first 12 draft picks.
But they have to be benched or injured. You can't just change your mind about a quarterback.
Correct. Or someone else. So, like, let's say, Tom Brady never gets drafted. So we go through all of Saturday. We pick all our regular quarterbacks who are, juicy selections, as Aaron might say.
Juicy.
And juicy contradictions.
Creamy.
And
Yeah.
they might
Pretty
also
buttery.
be juicy selections because they are against squishy defenses.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. So if we make all those picks, Tom Brady isn't selected, but then...
Hey,
he-
Aaron,
he
do you have
gets in a
something to
car
say?
wreck. Oh, boy. Aaron, is he trying to join
Aaron,
in?
get the
Aaron
fuck
is
out.
derailing this podcast by distracting
Get
me,
out.
and it sounds like he has something to say.
No, that's Tony's.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate
I
that.
bet you regret saying that. I bet.
We'll see, Aaron. We'll talk to Aaron later. He's a man who commands attention, as you can
Right.
see.
Where were we at? So yeah, so basically
Redrafting.
you can't get rid of your quarterback if he is still active for the following day. So like if Tom Brady suddenly can't play and now their backup goes in, it's not a race to drop whoever I drafted and pick
Right.
up that new guy. I have to have a valid reason for changing my player out because
Right.
I would be stuck with a 0 if I didn't switch him. That's
Right.
really the only time we let it go.
And it's worth mentioning that a 0 in this league isn't necessarily the worst thing that
That's
can
right.
happen.
Yeah.
0 is normally 7th or 8th place, I would say. Somewhere just past the halfway point, we
Yeah,
start to get into negatives.
There are negative points every week. It's very possible to get a negative 20.
And I would say this is an idea I'd like to bounce off you specifically. I think that we could see a strategy similar to how you're seeing some, like the shift in baseball. It sort of revolutionized like how defense was played in baseball.
Right.
Just to take it to a sport that I actually know about.
Right.
I think that if you're drafting 11th or 12th, there's a chance where keeping your quarterback on the bench could be a successful strategy.
Do you have experience with that?
I can't say that I do, but I will say that
At least not
the
intentionally.
Wildcat offense did work for a limited amount of time.
Right.
When the rest of the league wasn't ready to adjust to it.
Right. So I'm just throwing it out there.
So
That's
on
true.
the same lines, this is something I've been wanting to do, and maybe I'll do it this year on my own. I kind of want to have a 13th player that doesn't actually compete, called the auto draft player, where week 1 they draft 13th, and
Okay.
they get the auto drafted person, and then we on the side keep note of where they would have been in the lineup,
Right.
what quarterback they would
They would have
auto draft,
taken.
and then find out
See how they do?
if you were to not participate at all in this league, if the auto draft player would be better than you, and if you play
I
worse
think-
than the auto draft player, you deserve some sort of
So
punishment.
I don't know if I'm going to be here for the prediction portion of the cast, but a smaller sample size of that experiment took place last year in the other half of my home. Lauren
Pray tell.
Lauren didn't do anything but auto draft from probably
Right.
week 7 for the remainder of this season. And if we went back and charted her position, she went from last to middle to upper third
Right.
of the pack
Right.
on just like a steady climb of solid picks that wasn't enough to make up the deficit from the initial couple weeks. But she was intentionally auto drafted
Right.
because it was working better than her picking.
So maybe
I mean,
that's
it's a
something
strat.
I'll look
It's a
into.
strat.
Small
for sure.
sample size, but I think they do surprisingly well.
Right.
Because
I
there's
think-
no overthinking it.
I think there should be some sort of, you have to do a shot at the end of the season, all 4 of you that do worse than the auto draft player, something like that. You know,
Punishment? Because the auto draft should be good. They're the supercomputer. They have all the metrics.
It's true, but it is
The auto draft
it is metrics that is sort of based off. Well, so how do we do the auto draft? Is it based off of the
off
Fantasy
Yahoo's-
Pros or Yahoo?
Off Yahoo's stats.
Which can't take into account like benching.
Right. So they're only going off of like what they know as
Right,
normal.
and that's something we wouldn't include anything like benching points or anything that for the auto draft player because no one's going to pay attention to that.
And they don't.
But what if you get auto drafted and then you're like, oh, I'm going to pay attention, and you can see that your guy gets benched? Are you saying that you
No,
shouldn't
I'm
be
saying
allowed?
no one would pay attention to the auto draft.
Oh, I see. I got you. The ghost,
Yes,
the ghost
the
driver
13th
in Mario
player,
Kart.
the
Yeah.
13th.
Right.
Yeah,
What is that?
I think
you know what
that-
I'm
yeah,
talking
that's a
about?
good
Okay.
comparison.
Yeah. Thank you.
yeah,
Time
I
trial.
think that'd be an interesting experiment.
yeah.
I think they'd finish middle of the pack.
All right, we'll try that out. All
We'll
right,
try it
so
out.
I think those are. Let's talk a little bit about the betting league and how we're
Right.
going to handle
Oh,
that
right.
this year.
Yes, we did need to discuss this.
So
Wager
for
portion.
Cam, who doesn't know, people who don't know, we normally have this normal league that we have going on, but we also have a separate league where we put in the same amount of money and we all vote to. We pick one game that we bet on
Correct. Per week.
every week, and hopefully we win some money. We've only won money like 1 year, right? The
And
year.
then we lost it all.
No, the year that Tony won, he won a little bit on top of that, right?
I did, yeah.
Oh.
I won
Thought
like
we-
it was like $80 or something like
Oh,
that.
nice.
Remember you got like
Good
that
work,
crazy
Gus.
weird check
Right.
from like
Oh, yeah.
Croatia or
Right.
whatever?
Yeah, something gross.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've essentially created a degenerate mutual fund where
Yeah.
we all put in $10 because we're not confident enough to bet our own money, and then we weekly redraft, weekly rebet, same thing where I'll post the lines on Saturday after the draft is done.
We all nominate our 3 favorite teams. Whoever gets the most nominations, we do a blind vote, basically, and pick one team.
But this year we're talking about splitting that out into a separate group me conversation,
Right. Just
and
purely just for
almost in a separate league.
cleanliness.
Almost a separate league because if you don't want to be involved in that, you don't have to.
Right.
So it would essentially run as its own league. I think everyone here at this table is in favor of that option.
Yeah.
I think it would run a lot smoother.
It would also just it would keep the bad quarterback league group me down to strictly memes, which would be my
Right.
preference.
Yes.
Memes
More
and
trash
draft
talk.
picks.
Yeah.
Because
Too much activity is going on when we're trying to draft. People are missing their pick
Yeah.
because they make a pick. We argue for 12 comments about
whether or not the Browns are going to cover the spread, and then
They won't.
And then they do. They do that.
Right.
Because they're very good against the spread. And then it's untidy because of the weird way we draft with a 1 hour
Right.
pick clock.
So something that Lauren brought up, and I don't think you were around to hear this. Maybe I don't know. Should we wait to talk about this till Lauren comes in? Should we?
bring her on.
You want to go grab her?
Yeah.
Let's bring Lauren in.
I do want to point out that Aaron grabbed me a beer out of the beer that was sitting outside of the
Oh
fridge
my
for
God.
some reason, even though there's more sitting in the
That's
door.
insane.
I don't know why he did that, but
What? Aaron just wanted some attention. He was just.
he was doing like third base coach signals to me the entire time.
You're my rival. You're my rival.
Bring it on. I am gonna ask Brian about what he thinks about this play right here, which we could do very briefly here.
Yes.
We've had a firm declination on Lauren
Oh,
joining
okay.
the pod.
All right. That's
Is
fine.
that a no?
A hard no.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I want you to tell me if this looks like something that
Oh
should
boy,
be a
is
penalty.
this whether or not it's a penalty? I'm ignoring all of this. No. Man, he got hit
No
really
way.
hard though.
That can't be.
Let
Football
me,
looks like it would
let me
hurt
make
so
sure
bad.
the folks at home see what we're looking at here. This was called roughing the passer.
Yep, led with the crown of the helmet.
This is roughing the passer in 2018 NFL.
No.
Jeez.
Get out of here.
Roughing the passer used to be the guy throws it and
And then you hit him.
the defender takes 3 steps and then hits the quarterback. And now this is what roughing the passer.
Yeah,
No one.
you can.
right ahead.
No one knows what the penalties are anymore.
No.
Not even the players.
And the one we will see because they did adjust this rule in some weird vague language over the offseason. So
Welcome.
We'll all figure it out
But
as we go. But the one grain of salt I am trying to give, preseason is preseason for the refs just like it's preseason for the players. So I don't look too deeply into Baker Mayfield's stats because he was with our second string O-line against different defenses that weren't any good. Same thing for the refs. They're trying to sort out how they're going to call these plays. So I'm trying to just
I gotta
clean
say,
slate and think regular season will be better. But yeah, like some of these replays I saw were bad.
Okay, all right. I'm glad you finished with that because I was about to go on a real rant there.
Oh no, these look awful. And I'm just hoping that
NFL bootlicker over here.
I'm trying to get the official endorsement for us. If we get the shield in the bottom left corner of this pod, it's gonna be amazing.
We can't get kicked off of NFL.com or anything. That would be an absolute nightmare. I just wanted to just show everybody what the current NFL is. Lauren, what do you think? Do you think this should be a penalty?
Let's get Lauren's official intro going since she faked us out as well.
No.
Well, here it is in slow mo. Should this be a
agree.
penalty in football?
No.
Okay, so good. We all agree. That's a
Okay,
dumb
I was gonna say,
penalty.
Is this like a trick question?
No.
Because that
So
was like a real play.
That's the correct answer.
All of us agreed besides the referee that was at that game. Essentially, is what we're saying.
So, Lauren, thank you. Welcome to the pod.
You're welcome.
Tony, can we bring up her intro screen for us?
Oh, absolutely.
We have intros
Let's
for
get
everyone
let's get the old lower third there.
There it is.
Lauren Rankin.
Lauren, how are you?
Welcome.
I feel attacked. Hey, you know what? Listen.
You want to see what Brian's was?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll bring that up again.
Also live with her.
Brian says.
Oh wait, put mine up there again.
She
Okay.
didn't read it.
Oh, I didn't read that part.
Why'd
I thought
you
you were
feel
calling me
attacked?
the lower third of like this.
No.
Like,
Oh my God, no! We would never do such a
You
thing.
were firmly
Although
right
that's
in the
where
middle
you
of the
normally
pack.
end up. So.
I honestly, that's why I was like, I am middle of the pack at the very least, and that's when I don't auto pick.
But you do call shows programs.
I do.
Which
You
is
know
an
what?
interesting fact about you.
I am the oldest person here, and I will continue to call them programs.
That's a great justification.
And
for
I
it.
continue to be the oldest
I
person
listen
here.
to my radio shows,
You're
My ham radio.
my ham radio.
We listened to War of the Worlds the other day, and we thought that there was a real alien. Yeah.
yeah.
Fucking
It sounded so real.
So we brought you on because we were just about to discuss the betting portion of the league, and I thought what you brought up was a really good point.
Yes.
We were talking about splitting the betting portion into its own group me. And would you like to explain your idea?
Yeah, so I definitely think that there should be two separate GroupMes.
Yeah.
Oh, broke it.
Oh no.
Got a limp mic
Looks
over
like-
there.
Yeah,
That looks great.
it's on its last leg. Don't worry
Okay.
about it. Yeah, it's all good.
So I think that we should have two separate GroupMes. I think there should be a GroupMe for people that are way too serious about betting, aka John.
Call him
AKA
out.
John and Drew should just text each other. Is
That's
what you're
what
saying?
honestly, they should just be kicked out, man.
They should be passing handwritten letters to a secret mailbox like Keanu
I'm
Reeves.
not 100% sure that either of them are like into like mob ties and they're actually just like fixing games at this point.
All I know is John has won a lot of he's probably made more money in gambling than he has in his actual job. So we
I
should
feel
probably
like
take it seriously.
Drew has to be the same way. Like they're both
Yeah.
just like very
She's
analytical
crazy.
and like pretty like intelligent about the whole thing. But like me, I'm just like, you know what? I have a good feeling about this today,
Right.
and it like is based off of nothing.
But those
Not
people,
even instinct.
in my anecdotal experience, those people always do way better.
So
The people who are just like, oh, I got a feeling we're gonna
And
get
So this
double
is where Lauren's
sixes.
going with. This is
That's
segue.
good, right? Yeah.
So I really do think that we should have two different pools. So I think first and foremost, I think it should be the people that are super serious and they like really care about their money and they want to win.
Austin's, John's, Drew's, Brian's.
We can't figure out where
Aaron,
you're
maybe.
gonna be.
You,
Probably
Aaron.
not me.
Yeah.
So
We
can-
have like
So half the league.
we have like
Yeah.
4 A players, and we're gonna have to stick 2 other people up there that feel confident.
Yeah, and so I think the other half should be people that just like don't really know what they're doing and that are just like, you know what, I kind of looked at something or like, nope, I didn't look at anything this week. This is what I want to put my money on because I think it would be hilarious to see that side be the side that's like trying real hard because I
Right.
think that people overthink it. And I think that that's super easy to do because like that shit just doesn't follow the rules that you think it's gonna follow.
And I think the
100%.
competition between the league would
I'd be
make
interested.
people vote more often. It
Right.
would make people be more interactive.
I actually, I actually love that idea way more than just
Right.
like breaking it off and having the people who care do
Yeah.
it and the
Right.
people who not care not
because
do it.
it'll
Yeah.
keep everybody involved. So
Yeah.
upon second pass of hearing this, I've warmed up to it way more
Yeah,
because
it's a
like
phenomenal idea.
yeah,
The only
obviously.
thing is, it's definitely more work for Brian.
So I was gonna
Hands
say
down.
the
That's
owner
true.
It
That's
is
true.
not that much
It is.
work.
says the person who's never helped ever.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's
Am I
also gonna be-
commissioner of this league?
Do I
Your
have
first
your
lady,
Bovada login
My
information?
queen,
Huh?
you're royalty.
I'm
in this
over
room.
here cashing like just checks from like freaking Vietnam over here. We've gotten two
Right.
checks from like Singapore that I'm like it came in like a
A
courier
mailman
case.
didn't bring it. It was a man in a long overcoat
Yeah,
pulled it
and
out of his
like-
inside pocket.
A rickshaw.
And it-
Rode up.
And it doesn't say like, oh, this is from Bravada, like enjoy your winnings. It literally is like a check that is just like it has every other character.
Yeah, that's the check you gave me. It was like from Singapore or
It's
something.
because I
sketch.
told Brian that is
'cause my
not
bank
going to my
wouldn't
bank
take it.
account. I seriously was like, he earned it. He can go get the like all the taxes put on it or whatever
true.
weird stuff's gonna happen. Get caught for insider trading or something.
But-
you know,
It's gonna happen.
I'm not cashing a check that has no English on it.
So I think this would work way better if I could maybe get a hand
Nope.
in the not from you
Okay, great.
in
I like
the
this
B
idea.
bracket or whichever one I'm not in. Simply posting the lines, doing the voting because that is probably the most labor intensive part of my job, which was just getting annoying to look that
I mean, the
up.
lines are the same.
They're the same for both leagues, but then I have to go count the nominations and do the poll.
So I'll be
Five
honest.
nominations are fine.
I don't think you'll get that help from us
Okay.
because
Okay,
We've
also,
got three no's.
nobody else.
Because look at all these cables that are on this table right now.
Right.
I got enough to deal with.
we have upped the podcast game and I'm upping the
data game.
The data game.
Okay, I'll do both. You've won me over. Because what I was
Well, you
gonna
can grab
say
someone- you
is
can grab-
in
Who?
Someone that's
you
not
think
us.
it's Taylor or
No,
Aaron?
It's Taylor. It's
No, it's
Taylor.
gonna be-
It's Taylor.
Is Tom gonna join
and
us?
if I have to place the bets anyways, if I have to keep being the Bovada account, then I'll just do it. It won't matter. But what I was gonna say is the reason that I wanted to split off the betting and just get rid of it is because participation was essentially 50% of people, and I think like what Lauren at least has voiced is you don't want to be the one person who's throwing a dart with your eyes closed while Drew just
Wrapped up a giant spreadsheet
of
of
who has the best odds to win because
Right.
you feel like you're butting in.
Lauren's
but if we,
idea would get more participation
right,
back into the
I think
league.
all 6 people in both leagues would be into it, and then,
Yeah.
like we said, the
I like
competition
it too.
between them. I think would be good.
All
Never
right,
really had a
let's-
bad idea, so.
Not
go
yet.
on.
Let's move on. Let's get to the more personal questions. So,
Okay.
in terms of your team and your strategy for this year, what are you going to do differently from last year to improve?
Less auto drafting, I believe.
Yes.
So,
Me and Lauren are on the same page.
so 2 specific times last year, I had actually opted to auto draft, and Brian took it upon himself to choose my quarterback for me instead.
did
And
happen.
that quarterback got negative numbers.
So more
was-
auto drafting
That
then?
was a miscommunication.
No, I feel like I should just pick my own
Gotcha.
and stop
Right.
auto drafting, and then Brian needs to stop trying to pick my quarterbacks.
Right.
right.
Because I feel like collectively, in the beginning of the year when I don't auto draft, because I had to work during the weeks, during the weekends, and it was impossible to draft then. I feel like I did better than Brian.
Wow. Calling you out.
Hey,
No.
I admitted it beforehand that I think the auto draft worked wonders for you a couple times.
No, I just said before the auto draft.
Oh, before the auto
Don't
drafts.
throw this shade at me on live TV over
Thinking
here.
about my answer. Well, the shade
National
happened.
television.
The shade happened before you got here. Then.
What are you going to do different, Brian?
I mean, in a similar vein, yeah. Underthink as opposed to overthink, because
like
That's definitely what happened when I thought that Lauren gave me permission to pick her quarterback, and I really panicked. Don't screw this up.
Yeah.
This is
someone else's team. Make sure it's a good option.
and then that backfires because it's just
Have you ever
A lot
seen
of
that
crazy stuff can
Zach Galifianakis gif where it's just numbers in front of it?
Right.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
Brian thinks he's doing, and it's
Oh.
just never,
Right.
just never at, you know?
Yeah.
All right,
Never
I
sounds
like
good.
that. So what is your Super Bowl prediction for this year? And now, Lauren, I'll let you know. I just told Tony I have not looked into the season at all. I picked the Minnesota Vikings just because I picked a freaking just anyone. So doesn't matter. Just pick someone.
Here I got two things. Number one, if you believe Hard Knocks, it's going to be the Browns apparently.
Browns.
Because if I have to hear the guy overlay the fact that the Browns are the best thing I've ever heard, it's just like okay. The real answer is obviously the New England Patriots because they're all monsters.
That's what Tony went with. All right, Brian.
Champ against who?
Against the Seattle Seahawks.
Ooh.
Good pick.
I would love to see that.
They're in the same division, actually.
That's fine.
That's why I would love
Not
to
really.
see
I was testing you. I'm gonna say Minnesota Vikings over the Steelers.
First of all, the Vikings will not be in it.
We
I'm calling it
we
right
have
now.
4 Super Bowl predictions and 2 different teams that have been picked.
Right.
So I'm cheating a little bit because I just listened to the Super Bowl prediction podcast of my one fantasy football group that I am in love with. But Minnesota, made a deep run last year, have an extremely stout defense, as we know from bad QB, because they're one that makes a quarterback almost an auto pick if they're going against Minnesota. And the one thing that they didn't really have was a shiny new quarterback.
And now they have one.
Yeah.
Moving Kirk
Cousins over there, so we're gonna see if he
Getting
flourishes.
paid the big bucks.
Didn't Kirk Cousins used to be like a bad QB,
So
solid
it's
choice?
interesting you bring that up because in 2017, Kirk Cousins was the top undrafted quarterback 3 times, which is only second to Dak Prescott, who was top undrafted 4 times. So he is a risky quarterback.
Yeah.
He
In our league. So
In our league.
Yeah, that's
Well, yeah,
that's
yeah,
the only
yeah.
guy.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
still think they can win football games because I
Yeah.
think their defense is badass. I love Dalvin Cook as having another breakout year after last year, and then
He was out for the year last year early, right?
he tore something halfway through. I thought.
Who was
Yeah.
the top quarterback, like points wise?
That's a great question.
We don't have that data right now.
Cam Newton? I feel like
I can find out for you.
Someone that's like that you're just like that's a good quarterback, but just like it is just throw in.
Newton was on the top undrafted like twice, but no one drafted him in the first place. So he was. I don't think it was Newton. I really don't know. We don't have that data yet.
Wow.
We
You're really
do in
prepared.
5-4-3-2 Deshaun Kaiser.
Kaiser.
That doesn't sound right.
No way.
From which team? What?
D Kaiser?
By
I would've said
100
Eli-
points.
I honestly
By
would've said
100
Eli
points, he
Manning
was the
because
worst.
Eli Manning
That's
was
insane.
awful.
That's so many. Did we even let him finish the season?
Just for the folks at home.
Yeah, bring that up on the big screen here.
I would have for sure said Eli Manning actually after my fake choice
That
being
is-
real choice of.
I forgot about Jacoby last year.
So that's
Jacoby
how many
beat
points
Brissett.
Kaiser scored last season, right?
What's that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's
so if you were to pick Kaiser every single week,
Which
You
you
would
wouldn't be
have-
able to do because you'd have the
finished
last
barely
pick.
in second place.
you would have lost to Austin
By 6 points.
6 points.
My gosh.
And all you had to do was pick the same guy every week. Now, there's chances are you wouldn't be able to.
Right.
Right, because someone else would have already taken it.
But it's
So wait, what did Austin finish?
Austin got 322 points. That was the winning.
Dang.
That was
Wow.
the winning.
just want to
point
point out.
value.
Although honestly, yeah, I was about to
Sandy.
say, that's actually super sad as well.
With half the amount of points.
Well, you know what? Kaiser played in a half the amount of games, had about 3 times
Right.
the turnovers, and then got benched and or concussed.
That's true. That wasn't even a full season.
Yeah, that doesn't count injury points or benching
That's right.
points.
That doesn't count
this,
any of that.
This literally counts.
This is
him
just
playing
game
the
performance.
first half of probably 4 games, getting 15 interceptions with pick sixes.
Getting taken out for
and-
Cody Kessler or
Yes.
whatever,
Oh,
whatever
man,
scrawny
what a
white boy
nightmare.
we had last year.
Man. Ooh.
Not good.
All right, so
I'm
we've
so
got-
glad that's over.
We've got one more question for you guys. And this year we really want to encourage rivalries and side bets between those rivalries. We
Okay.
want this to be an interactive trash-talking league. So, who is your rival this year? Who do you want to call out right now on the podcast?
about this.
Shit talk them and tell them that you are going to do better than them this year. It can be each other. That's fine.
Right.
It can be one of us.
Honestly, this isn't a rivalry
No.
because it's like I'm winning. And then, like, when I
My rival is Lawrence.
I'm actually gonna say I want it to be someone serious. Like I want it to be like Drew Staley.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Or John DeLaTelle. And just
Okay.
be like,
Pick
You
one.
get
Pick one.
one. I'll take the other because
Pick
it's the same boat.
Okay.
You take Drew.
I got Drew.
I want John.
Yeah.
I want John
Call
to
him
get
out.
shut
Talk
the
your
fuck
shit.
down.
Drew, I really like you as a person. I really respect you. But I'm gonna fuck your shit up. Is this like a PG?
You can adjust the
podcast?
camera.
No, this is an R-rated podcast.
Brother.
Drew,
There you go. No, that's not what we want. Talk your shit. Get in there. Get in
can
there.
you smell what the Rock is cooking? But like, no, I really do think I kind of want to like try a little harder this year because I want to show that like, hey, as a girl, I do have some football knowledge. You know?
So this will work out for the both of you. Tony called out FTQ as his rival.
I kind of forgot FTQ. Like he's
Existed.
just like
Exactly.
low key. He's low key.
That's exactly what I'm about to say here. Tony bet 3 6-packs that he would score
3 craft 6
three
packs.
craft
Whoa.
6-packs that he would
Double
perform better
digit.
than FTQ. But the only way that he is allowed to accept that bet is if he
on the
comes
pod.
on the podcast. And that works for Drew and John because neither of them ever show up. We
Yeah.
don't know if they're real.
Drew is a sock account.
Drew is
Drew is
a
Brian's sock
self-promotion.
account.
Shit.
He's a LLC.
I was logged into my burner, faving my own tweets last night.
You know what? I actually changed my mind. I'm calling out Cam
Oh.
because I'm not gonna have some newcomer come in,
Right.
Marianne, and just rock us for the first I
Like
don't know,
a
8
like a
weeks.
locust whore.
Like a locust whore.
He's the man behind the curtain for his wife's amazing rookie season. He thinks he's
No,
just gonna
see,
walk all over us.
I genuinely believe that Marianne's over here getting trashed and just having visions.
Underthink
Just
it.
literally having hallucinations of who's gonna win.
Boom.
yeah, and she's just
that would
like,
explain a lot.
that's what I
That would
mean.
explain a lot.
All right, so we've got Cam. You're calling out Cam.
Yep.
You gonna put any beer on the table? You gonna put a?
I will drink all of the beer before it gets to him.
Right.
Maybe.
Okay. You are sticking with John.
100% John.
Calling out John.
He dips into clear cups.
Are you gonna talk your shit? Are we talking shit?
It looks like shit coming out of your mouth. And the shit that you write in the group me is also shit coming out of your mouth.
This feels super personal now. You know,
So
I'm
John
calling-
doesn't comment until we're talking about betting.
Right.
Well, he's into it.
He has
Hey,
a Google alert
here's
anytime there's a minus sign in a parentheses because he knows that the wager's
Started.
I do want you to know that we are starting a second YouTube channel called 3 Step Flop Highlights, where I'm going to be clipping things for easily digestible pieces of content
I didn't even know this.
clipping things from the group me or from the NFL.
from the podcast.
Oh, God.
So I can cut that. I'm going to cut that, and I'm
Perfect.
going to send it to John. I'll cut that. I'll send it to Drew. And we'll see what
Cam.
their responses are. Or to Cam. Or
Honestly,
to
just send it
all
all.
the people you called
So I
out.
want to rile someone up for this.
That's right.
And they're going to know about it. Because we need to, these things need to get out there. And I know
Yeah.
that a 2-hour podcast is a lot to digest. So I think that that's
We
the way
actually
we should
listen
go.
to it like
Pretty
religiously
regularly.
every week, no matter how long it is.
I am so happy right now.
We both, now that we have 4 computers, this is going to be even better. Because what we do is we just like turn on YouTube
Hell yeah.
on all of the computers and just kind of up your numbers.
Yes,
Like really
dude.
beef up those
I like
that
it.
watching.
I like it.
So that way you
Front
guys are
page
like,
soon
there's at
enough.
least 4 people watching, and me and
Right.
Brian are like, nice.
Yeah,
check
all
out our
your cell
Amazon
phones on.
affiliate link. If you just click on our link and shop on Amazon regularly, we get a kickback. We're also sponsored by Quip.
You know what's
Quip,
funny? We didn't send out that we're live right now in the group meet. So like Marianne and Cam or
Well,
like,
they're not going to watch it
all our
anyway.
regular viewers are here
Yeah.
Yeah,
anyway.
it's a Friday night. What the hell?
They'll watch it tomorrow at the tailgate.
Right.
Well,
I think
thank you guys so much for joining.
Yeah,
the
I think that's all we
podcast.
got.
I mean, you guys were
It was a
just
pleasure.
fantastic. It's great to have a happy, healthy couple on the podcast.
Ooh.
It's always something I've
yeah,
dreamed
Taylor
of.
left in the middle of this conversation.
Right.
She's already home right now.
She's napping
So-
currently.
She
She's,
actually go
she's
home?
studying.
She
for,
did.
she's
She's gone.
She
Slid right out. I was locked
she's,
in.
she's
Wait,
watching.
Really
Yeah,
she
she's
didn't
gone.
say goodbye.
She left right
We
in the
were
middle
we were
of this.
podcasting.
She Irish goodbye.
No, she
and-
said she
Oh,
waved.
she's learned from the master over here.
That's right.
She's going home to study game film.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Well, thanks for having us, and we're happy to have you. So
Right.
I've had a couple beers, so
A couple.
thanks for
Appreciate
coming.
it.
Please grab
Please tag
Aaron
in
for
the
us.
next guest.
One Aaron.
Yeah, I want Aaron next.
Okay.
All right, great. I
Thanks,
gotta go to
guys.
bed.
Thanks. Bye, y'all.
Can't get out of this.
It's tight. It's a tight squeeze.
It's tight like a tiger.
Oh
I'm
man.
doing some filler with you. Aaron's in the bathroom.
Okay.
All right, Aaron. Then I'm segueing you in. I want dark horse, bad QB. So think top undrafted.
Okay.
Someone that we consider a consistent rely. I would
Yeah,
like Aaron
go
to
ahead,
answer
bud.
it when he gets in here.
That's a good question.
Watch out for this cable here.
Russell Wilson.
Tight squeeze.
Russell
on my
Wilson.
list.
I have two that are on my list. Tony, anybody you'd go with there?
Dark
Dark horse. So someone we think of as like, oh, this guy wins
Risky
games in the
pick.
real
Ben
NFL.
Roethlisberger.
Ben, 4K.
This is no way to greet a guest.
I
let
saw
me just say.
I thought you were.
I saw
pooping.
him look really, really bad in a couple of games last year, and I think he's over the hill.
You think this is where it drops
yeah,
off?
yeah.
There was a very bold take that this was Tom Brady's year to fall off.
Ooh.
That's not going to happen.
Said an increasingly nervous man for the fifth straight season.
Why Russell Wilson?
Just I've looked at the draft value chart.
Crunch the numbers.
And he was on here, I think, 3 times as the top undrafted.
Right.
I think, despite the fact that they have a pretty good running game, he throws the ball a decent amount of times.
Scrambles. Offensive line looks a little squishy this year.
Right. So, I don't know. I just think if I'm choosing someone who's good, who everyone looks
Right.
at as a good player, I think Wilson is risky.
Yep. Him, Ben, and Dak are the 3 that I'm kind of keeping in my back pocket.
I mean, Dak's.
You want to talk about him?
I was shooting higher. When you said dark horse, I'm talking like the top echelon. Dak is good, but he's still a rookie. He's unproven. So I don't know if I consider him
Too far down.
Right.
Then I'll stick with your picks. But yeah,
On the fly, I was curious what people had because now that we have 12 people in the league, those last 2 picks aren't. There's only one team playing the Cleveland Browns, and you would obviously pick the opposing team's quarterback because
every time.
yeah,
Not every time.
a lot of
You pick the
a
Cleveland
lot of
Browns
bad
quarterback
things.
every time.
And the voice of that person to my left
take over.
is none other than Aaron Carnival.
What's up, everybody?
Aaron Carnival, welcome to
Yo,
the 3-Step
thank
Pod.
you. Happy to be back. Thank you.
I
very
mean, you've
much.
been a long-time guest. One of the more frequent guests that we've had over
a
the
guest
years.
host, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, you've honestly earned that
Wow.
title.
I'm
I
very
feel
flattered.
like.
That's bestowed with guest hosts.
Well, before we get into, the nitty gritty, I just want to get your opinion on a certain play that happened in the preseason.
Yeah, get beat hard off my screen.
So, do you think that this is a clean play, or do you think this should be flagged?
That's a clean play, sir.
That's roughing the passer. That's a 15-yard penalty on the defense.
That
Okay,
looks-
just
that
wanted
looks
to.
really clean to me.
So just for the folks at home, to
looks
show
like
what
a
we just
bad
saw.
referee call
This
on
is
my
this is 2018 in the NFL. This is a 15-yard penalty and an automatic first down.
Yeah, but it looked really bad, man.
You know how upset I would be if that was my quarterback and he got sacked? That's a sack. That's what, 2 points at least?
Yep,
And then to get that
negated completely.
Oh, I'd
15
be
yard,
furious.
and that could be third. That could be 3rd and 8, first down, 15 yards. Then they go and score a touchdown.
Let me say something real quick. I apologize for as Tony
Please,
said.
please interject.
Derailing the podcast earlier. I was simply trying to just see if he needed a beverage. And
Yes.
I was very poor in my execution.
And I actually wanted to address that because
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you: is there any reason why you decided to pull a beer out of the beers that were not in the fridge
So-
when there were multiple Budweisers that were in the fridge?
very relevant.
Okay.
So part of my poor communication was me trying to tell you that these were in fact warm beers.
Yes, I did get that. And that was indicated to me by the fact that they were sitting outside of the
Yeah.
fridge.
You have been known to keep beers outside of the fridge longer than others.
Ew.
Would you admit to that?
I keep them outside because I knew I had people coming over who would need to put their beers inside of the fridge.
So I couldn't find a Budweiser in the fridge. So
Yeah,
when I didn't,
I think I even told you on mic that it's in the door. Please look in the door. Please look in the door. And then you grabbed one out of the box.
Well, either way, I'm glad I got you a beverage.
Me too, because it tastes really great.
Aaron, it's so good to have you back.
Yeah,
Are you excited to be
really
back? Are you glad you're back?
I mean, kinda. I mean, I kind of sucked last year. I mean, I suck at this league, but it's thank you. It's very fun. I mean, I'm happy to be back in the pod.
Yeah, we're gonna introduce you properly. This is
Oh God.
Aaron Carneville.
Let's see, yeah.
Glad to have him back.
So that's
Hey, folks.
yeah. We just wanted to make sure that everybody knew what you were all about. And thoughts on that?
Only after a long night of drinking
Okay.
do I stand to poop.
Oh, you and Joe Haverkos have that in common.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I am a painter.
So new season.
Abstract, in fact. Inspiration can come
man.
from anywhere.
All right, it's 2018, man. It's 2018.
It's good to be back, everybody.
Yeah.
Glad to have you back.
One person.
So what we want to know, what are you going to do differently? What's your new strategy for this year that's going to make you a better player?
That's a good question. I think first of all, I've recognized that this league is built off of quarterback injuries or health in that way. What creates a bad quarterback is a bad situation. Oftentimes, injuries create those situations. Oftentimes, the NFL players get hurt. A lot of times, actually, because it's a terrible sport and we should not be rooting it to keep going on. But what's going to happen? So when you look, actually, this year, the one thing I did want to come on and say is that we have a really good quarterback group. It's going to be a tough year as far as bad quarterback league goes because I think there's, looking back at previous years of starting quarterbacks, we have a bigger group of good to fine quarterbacks. I mean, I think across the board, it's going to be tougher to pick a bad option every week. But the thing that's going to happen is immediately starting week one, people are going to get hurt. And that's when, immediately that's going to bring people up into the fold as first-round picks.
We had a lot of that last year. We had a lot of injuries last year. We were getting to third-round quarterbacks that I didn't even know who they were.
Right.
Not to say that I follow the NFL very religiously, but we had a lot of injuries last year.
It's really whoever gets injured, their backup is going to be a good pick.
Yep.
Period.
Yeah.
Because they suck and they're backup quarterbacks. That's right.
Right.
The thing is, I'm thinking that the injuries are actually going to go down. This might be a little bit of a bold prediction, but because of these new rules, I feel like it's almost impossible to hit anybody, especially a quarterback, without getting flagged. So these guys, I feel like are going to be making a lot of arm tackles because, as we just saw, just making a nice tackle that looks bad is now a flag. So I think we might see a little more health out of QBs.
But as Brian said, this is the preseason.
True.
They're trying some new stuff out and seeing how it goes down. There's been a lot of flack for these kinds of calls. Do you think there'll be any sort of backlash or retroactive?
Bye, Commish.
Hi, guys.
Bye, Commish wife, Lauren.
Do you think the referees will tone it down and go back to regular calls?
I mean, I think that they're all getting used to it, but I also think that they have a vested interest in trying to keep it safe.
Sure.
And that's what they're trying to keep that public perception out that it's safe, and that might be detrimental in some ways. But
So right now your strategy is focus on injuries.
Dude,
anything else?
My strategy is to see how I can pick a Cleveland Browns quarterback as frequently as
I
possible.
was gonna bring that up. I was gonna ask.
I just want to mention that Brian is shaking his head off camera just for
And
posterity.
I guess real quick before we walk out the door, we do have an official bet on the board. I don't know if we've talked about this real quick on the air. Brian, I do have a bet just for the record now.
$20.
$20
higher than the Bengals in the AFC.
So I think the Bengals are gonna have more wins than the Browns. I think the Browns are gonna have 3 wins, maybe. I think they're gonna be just ass balls and cake and everything combined into one. They're gonna be the worst team in the league.
I don't have time to break down why the Browns quarterbacks will again be a bad decision, bad QB league, but you're gonna regret that selection.
$20 on the
I was
line.
gonna
Feels like you got proved wrong there.
Anyways,
And you know what? While we're on we'll just skip ahead to this part while we're on the fact
Yeah.
of side bets
Yep.
and rivalries. We're encouraging everyone to have a rival this year. We're encouraging side bets to happen. I'm so glad.
He's on. He's on because I owe this fucker a 6-pack of beer, and it's gonna come. I did not forget about it. I just wanted to make it relevant in the season, so it's gonna come.
Before you came on the
6
air,
dark porters.
we asked this question to ourselves, and the rivalry I chose with you. I chose you.
Done. You're my first pick.
You're my rival for
All right.
sure. You owe me a 6-pack
I
of
do.
beer. And I said before you came on, I'm willing to put right now another 6-pack on the fact that I will finish higher than you this
Deal.
year.
Deal.
Got it.
And I'll buy that 6-pack here. Next time I'm on the pod, I'll come and bring a nice mixer
I'll believe it when I
There
see
it
it.
is.
of dark blueberry
I'll
tart
believe it when I see it,
fruity
Aaron.
beer. Wow, for you.
So I'm glad we have this hashed out, and I'm
Deal.
more than willing to have additional side bets as the year goes on. But I'm glad we have that one
Deal.
on the table. All right, so injuries, picking Browns quarterbacks, that's your strategy?
Yep. I think if CJ Beathard comes back into the fold, I think that might be somebody I might want to jump on just because his name is CJ Beathard.
So speaking of names, Aaron, you are the king of nicknames
Yeah.
in this league, and that is something that we encourage everyone to have is a unique nickname for their bad quarterback. What do you do every day to get motivated,
Great question.
inspired to come up with a new
That's a
nickname?
good question. You know what? That's a really good question. Man, it really starts from the core of the day. You kind of wake up, you got a feeling about it. Like right now, like today's words, like ooey gooey, dirty dish rag. That's just what's coming
That's
to
what's
mind.
coming to you.
And it's just because of the vibe of the day. Sometimes it's,
Your
dirty girl,
spur
purple
of the
nurple
moment kinda
mishmash,
guy.
whatever it might be. It's a good question though. Whatever inspires me at the moment.
All right, good. I want to see a little more uniqueness from you.
Not gonna
this
happen.
year.
I have my zone that I'm really good at it.
You are.
I'm really good at it. Especially since I've created this name game in the league. And it's so ooey gooey mishmash. That's my first.
Yeah, this is the nicknames are your birth child. Right?
That's gross. All right, next topic. So
All right.
you have a question? You need to ask me some questions. Is this an interview or what?
We have been
Yeah.
asking the question.
More questions. Give
All
me
right.
some questions.
So we've been asking everyone, what is your Super Bowl prediction for this year?
The New Orleans Saints are going to win the Super Bowl this year.
Oh, I like that.
Yep.
Wow.
Underrated defense,
Wow.
athletic as fuck. Drew Brees is still a legitimate quarterback. Alvin Kamara is going to win the MVP in the National League of the Football League, the NFC.
Who's gonna win in the American League?
Shoot, not the Orioles.
Vlad.
Maybe. But I think the Saints is gonna put it together this year. This is gonna be the year we see the couple really good teams kind of start to fall. Patriots, I'm calling the Patriots first round of the playoffs out.
Ooh.
Pittsburgh Steelers first round of the playoffs out. Ben Roethlisberger retires. This is gonna be the year of kind of new teams. We're gonna see the Los Angeles Rams take the next step. The Chargers are gonna be better than we expect. New Orleans Saints. The worst
so
team in
far-
the league here, the Cleveland Browns.
So
Really going out on a limb on that one.
before you came on the podcast, we had 2 votes for the Patriots winning, and we had 2 votes for the Vikings.
Yep.
Actually, how do you feel about
Bad bets.
that?
Actually, last year I went to Las Vegas and I put money on the Patriots to win the Super
The
Bowl.
World Series.
Yeah, that would have been a bad bet. They did not. They did not, in fact, win. And I thought that was a good bet. This year, the Patriots are going to be all hype. Listen to me. They're getting older. Tom Brady's 42 years old. Gronkowski's about to. He almost retired last year. This is it, man. This is the year that they're
Wow.
collapsing.
That's crazy. That's interesting.
So,
First-
Aaron, this is something I haven't brought up with anyone else. You got the number 9 spot this year in the opening week of the draft. How do you feel about that?
Well, I did seal my own fate. I did throw my own ball. You know, if I could learn anything from last year is from the champion, Austin Rabat. He picked at the number 12 spot last year.
He did.
Amidst controversy, I must add. He won the league, so I'm not scared about drafting at 9.
All right.
I'm gonna be okay.
Okay, I like that.
I'm sure there'll be a Cleveland quarterback ready at 9.
I like that. Also, do you have any bad quarterback favorites right now? Who do you think might be the bad quarterback MVP?
Good question. I think the bad quarterback MVP this year is going to be Ryan Tannehill,
Okay.
Miami Dolphins.
Who a lot of people might have forgotten about.
If now here's a huge if he can stay healthy enough to be relevant all year. Right. Knowing this cat, he might be bouncing out in the second week of the season because his poor little ACL might be giving out. Right. He's not on the field a lot.
But then
so
you'll pick up whoever his backup is. You would be,
which I don't know who it is, but
Exactly.
he would be immediately relevant in this
Right.
league, no doubt.
So the Dolphins quarterback is someone that you're interested in, no matter who it is.
Yep, and the Browns, Dolphins and Browns, for the record.
Okay.
Makes a lot of sense to me.
I like it.
Let me ask you guys a question real
Yeah,
quick.
do it.
Every week, we're going to be getting together for this podcast, right?
Yeah.
We have 4 microphones, right? Are non-league members invited to this podcast?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
Liz, you want in right now?
I'm saying maybe in future weeks,
Yeah.
we can incorporate some new members in the podcast.
Any new insight is appreciated, internal or external.
How long you guys been going now? A couple
We
hours?
need to, yeah.
You guys are
Couple months? What did you say?
hours.
Oh, hours, yeah. We should probably bring our last guest on.
Yeah.
Champion?
Yeah, the champion.
Dun, dun, dun,
The man himself.
Champ is the champ here.
Hey, Austin.
Dun, 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 dun.
There he is.
You went on this?
Is it acceptable for me to show my face?
Yeah, you're in, bro.
For sure. Give me 2 seconds.
Aaron, you can stay. We need your
All
livelihood.
right. All right, cool.
Because I especially want to see what you guys think about this next clip that I'm going to show you.
Coming to the podcast is the man himself.
Ooh, the champ is here.
Last year's champion, Austin Rabat.
All
Hi,
right.
friends.
Austin, how are you doing today?
I'm doing just dandy.
Dandy.
Michigan State pulled a win out of their ass somehow, and we're okay.
Yes,
There you
sir.
go.
Good. How's it feel to join the champion club? There's only 4 of us.
We've already had 4 seasons. Wow.
Me,
Seems- I-
Tony, then Drew, then you.
Feels pretty good. I have to say I'm going for a repeat this year.
Oh.
And, yeah, you guys better watch out.
You know, that's something we haven't asked anyone, is who do you think's going to win this year?
Yeah. Because I think most people think they will.
Right.
I don't think I'm going to win this year. I really don't, honestly. I'm not just saying it. This is Austin's league. He's about. If you remember correctly, I think if you go back on the records about 2 years ago, Austin and I were the worst team in the league. When we came on the podcast
I was
together.
by far the worst. Yeah.
Together we came on, and I said, he's better than me. I said, you're going to be okay. And he won the league a year later. Austin Rabat's winning this league this
We
year.
figured it out, boys.
Wow.
It took us 3 years to figure out the magic formula. We got it down, and we're going for the repeat. But if I'm going to pick somebody besides myself, because I'm
Sure.
not that big of a douche, I want to say Brian's going to have a good year this year.
I was going to say I was going to say
I
Brian.
think
do.
I just think that Kamish is due, don't you guys?
He
I
is
just
due.
feel like
I agree.
I just feel
He
it.
hasn't won
I
yet.
feel it in my bones. Yeah.
Definitely not Gator, though. I would say if I had to pick one to definitely fix on the bottom,
Not Gator.
That's
Strand,
me.
Gator Strand
Right.
on the bottom.
So let's properly introduce our new guest, the champion this year, Austin Rabat. We're so happy to have you. We're glad we're doing this again. Tony, can we bring up Austin's intro slide?
Oh, of
Here.
course.
We've,
Yeah.
Oh boy.
we've upped our production value here.
Well, that's not me.
That's Aaron.
I stand to poop.
Okay, well, I just wanted to remind everybody.
That Aaron stands to poop.
What is Austin? Does he stand to poop?
looks like they don't. It's
Right
literally
there, right
in the
there,
middle.
bro.
Oh,
Yep, there you go.
Okay, there it is.
Austin.
So just
Success
to,
life coach. I need to be that idiot's life coach.
somebody needs to do it.
I'll take it on.
Just to give you a full introduction. There
Yes.
he is.
Thanks. The graphic looks beautiful.
Who's
You
6'9"?
did a great job.
I'm sorry. Who's 6'9"?
Teriyaki 6'9", that stupid rapper with the rainbow hair.
Oh, okay. I've seen him.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
apologize.
Yeah, he's wonderful.
Speaking of stupid hair, who is this on the screen? McCown?
That's.
We'll
That's
talk about it in a
McCown.
minute.
Oh no, this is the. I've already seen this clip about 50
Let's
times.
go ahead and roll
Okay,
it.
sure.
Yeah, this clip is great. Actually, it's fantastic.
So this is a couple Jets quarterbacks, and this is just something that happened on the sidelines at the last preseason game.
Well, you can't just say that they're just two Jets quarterbacks. You really have to put it in the proper context to fully appreciate it.
They're two handsome Jets quarterbacks.
Josh McCown is like 100 years old, and he's been in the league since 1950s. Sam Darnold is the savior rookie of the franchise. So it's just like the energy of the world aligned at that
And I think
very
this
moment.
screenshot really sums it all up.
It's fantastic. Yeah, they're both from Southern.
that
they're
that
both
is-
from SoCal. Both
And
from Southern
this right
California.
here is a face that's going to be made by a lot of Jets quarterbacks this
What
season.
what other former
Including
Jets quarterback that was SoCal would have fit in this scene right here? Former bad quarterback.
Chad Pennington.
The
Oh,
butt
well,
fumble.
Mark
Sanchez.
Mark
Sanchez.
Sanchez.
The butt fumble
My boy.
himself.
Exactly right.
Yeah, dirty butt fumbles. Shout
Dirty
out.
butt
Yeah.
fumbles. USC represent.
Let's go.
So Austin, you and I are both fans of the consistent team name.
Yeah.
You're not going to change that name from Dirty Butt Fumbles, right?
No, at this point, it's a legacy name, and most times in my fantasy leagues, this is really distracting, by the way. Most times in my fantasy leagues, I actually do like to switch my names up from year to year based on the players
this
I
is
have on my
different.
team. But this is different because it just really captures the essence of what the bad quarterback league is really about. You know,
It's about Mark Sanchez.
It's
about
it's just about the quarterback being so terrible, just so bad at what he's supposed to be doing,
Right.
that he literally can't get out of the way of his own offensive lineman, and then not only that, he can't hang on to the ball.
right.
It's
Right.
It's everything that this league's about, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
Good. So we've been asking everyone, but this may be different for you. We've been asking everyone what they're going to do differently. But you won last year. So
Yeah.
is there anything that you're going to do differently?
Well, I will say that this year of quarterbacks, I think that you're going to see a lot better quarterback play, and that we're not going to have as high of scoring in our league as we did in years
Okay.
past. So I think that last year there was a list of 15 to 20 quarterbacks that we could consistently pick from every single week and have a chance to have solid, shitty games for us.
Right.
But this year, I really feel like it's sort of the opposite, where once you're getting down towards picks 10, 11, 12 this year, I mean, of course, there's always going to be guys that you end up picking and have big weeks, but I just think that it might be a little bit tougher this year. I just think a lot of these younger quarterbacks are really talented, and
Yeah.
with the way that the new rules in the NFL are, and I'm sure you guys have talked about it, it's going to be easier than ever for quarterbacks to be able to take advantage of the middle of the field. So, like in real fantasy leagues, I think tight ends are going to have a lot bigger production than normal. But anyways, I just think that the list of consistent quarterbacks to pick from won't be as large this year as it was last year.
So in 2016, our league average was about 12 points. In 2017, our league average was 13 points. Do you see that number going down?
Yeah, I would say it's probably closer to 10 or 11 this year.
Okay.
Yeah, a slight regression. It won't be crazy, but I definitely see a little regression. Like I said, with as much scoring, I think as there's going to be.
So
I
if
just
you
think it's
score
hard.
15 points week 1, week 2, whatever, you're going to be happy with that number.
Yeah, if I can throw up 15 every week, I feel good about my chances to be contending for the title.
Okay. Good. I like that. We've also been asking everyone, what is your Super Bowl prediction right now? Who do you think is going to win?
The matchup or just the winner?
Your choice.
I haven't really thought about this a whole lot, I guess. If I'm going to go with a matchup first, I would say from the AFC is really difficult. From the NFC, I think the Rams are going to be really awesome in the Vikings, and I'm sure that other people have echoed those sentiments. I like the Vikings a little bit better, but I mean, honestly, it never works out the way that those are the favorites, right? It never works out that way. So, I mean, those are for sure the favorites, but at the same time, there's going to be some team that no one's talking about right now that comes out of nowhere. Like maybe it's like the Washington Redskins randomly, or like something stupid like that, or like the Chicago Bears randomly.
But you're a Cousins fan, right?
I love Cousins. I'm wearing his Michigan State jersey as we speak right now. Actually, big time Kirk Cousins fan. I think the Vikings are going to be really good this year.
Vikings are a popular pick. I picked the Saints to win the Super Bowl. Epic matchup there in the NFC Championship last year, right? So that would be what I would have won in this year's NFC Championship.
The NFC South, other than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are the worst, and whoever's starting at quarterback for them should be the number one pick every single week. I'm legitimately serious about that. Whether it's
Winston?
Well, he's suspended for the first 3 games, so Ryan Fitzpatrick to start the year if he gets hurt, whoever the hell else.
Is a juicy pick.
And then I really see Jameis having a poor year this year. I think that the Tampa Bay experiment's about to blow up in everyone's face and everyone's going to get fired. So that's, I guess, not really that bold of a prediction. Other people are saying it too, but I really think that that's what's about to happen. But like the Panthers, the Saints, the Falcons, all 3 of those teams in the same division could be really good in the NFC too. But AFC, of course, the Patriots and the Steelers are the favorites. I think Jacksonville's going to take a step back from last year. I really do think the Bengals, if their offensive line can hold up, have a chance to make the playoffs.
Turn up.
Not win the division. Not
12-4, baby.
No, not 12-4. I would say like the ceiling for the Bengals is 10 wins, but I could see them getting to 10 wins.
Marvin Lewis, Coach of the Year.
No, negative chance. Negative % chance. Yeah, I mean, the AFC South has a couple good teams, but I think they're just average. It's really difficult. Like, who are you going to pick other than the Patriots or the Steelers? And I'm not picking the Steelers.
All right.
So
I agree.
And I would say whoever wins the NFC is going to win the Super Bowl.
Fair enough. All right, moving on.
I'll say Rams if you want me to choose one team.
I like
The
it.
Jared Goff-led Rams.
Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl one time.
I like it.
There's that.
Makes sense.
So something we are encouraging
So did
this
Joe
year
Flacco.
is rivalries between
For sure.
between individuals in the league. Rivalries and side bets and trash talk. We want more of that. So we want you right now to pick a rival and call them out and talk your shit.
Well, let me ask this. What rivals have already been
You
picked?
can address the camera, too.
What rivals have already been picked?
I picked Aaron. Aaron picked me.
Okay.
I'm not even going to address him. He's
Okay.
so
that makes sense.
so low in my life now.
Lauren picked. Who did Lauren pick? She started with. Oh, Lauren picked Cam.
Yeah.
Lauren picked Cam.
Oh, wow.
Brian picked John.
Yeah, that was going to be
Ooh,
my.
that's a good
That was
one.
that was about to be my.
Good one.
That's a real good one, but that was
I
going to be
picked
my.
Abdicua.
Tony picked FDQ.
So there's not really a lot of choices left.
I mean, you can pick whoever you want.
There's Taylor.
Well-
there's Marianne.
Well, I'm not
there's-
gonna just choose somebody random for no reason. So, all right, Marianne. Do you see this right here? You're going down, dude. This year,
Is there a bet on the
down
table?
like Chinatown.
I'm setting up the WWE. You might get a recruiting tape.
So
bet?
for context, Tony bet FDQ 3 craft 6-packs that he was going to finish higher than him, and the only way that he can accept it is if he comes on the podcast and accepts that. I bet Aaron 1 6-pack that I was going to be higher than him.
Okay.
I don't know if there's any other bets
Those are the actual
going on
tangible
right
bets
now, but
right
we
now.
are all about the side bets this year.
All right, Marianne. Well, Marianne, you have to come on the podcast and accept, but I'm sure you will. I know that you're not scared of a nice challenge. So I'll say if you win, your bottle of wine of choice or bottle of liquor of choice, and if I win, my bottle of liquor of choice.
Ooh,
There it
I
is.
like that.
So there it is.
I really like this matchup because Austin obviously finished first last year, but Marianne was second.
Yeah, Marianne came in hot to the league, the exact opposite start of what I had.
Yep.
And she needs to be put in her place. She deserves to be picking 12th. Although I did say I did pick 12th last year and win the whole thing.
Right.
All I'm
But she's
saying,
going
you
down.
know,
She's going down.
I'm rooting for
You're
Austin.
going down.
Austin this year, again, duplicate champ. Not me. I might come in last.
And then Aaron
No,
will
wait,
owe me
actually,
2
Gators come in
6-packs, and then I'll get him next year. I'll get him whenever. He still owes me a 6-pack from last year.
You still haven't paid that bet?
I wanted to make it relevant. Next time I come on the
okay.
pod, it's going to be a 6-pack of just dirty piss beer. For
Nice,
him.
dude.
Bush Lights.
Dude, stop talking about Gators beer that he brews that way.
Well,
On that note,
I guess before we wrap this whole thing up, I just wanted to show this wonderful clip that happened this preseason to Deshaun Watson. I'm not sure if any of you guys have seen this, but this was a nice little hit that was laid on Deshaun. Oh, you know what? Before I do that, let me make sure the folks at home.
I do want to
Can,
go over a couple
Oh.
mid to late season sleeper
Let's
picks.
do it. Go for it. Go for it.
Sure. So some of these guys aren't starting yet, but
Shout out Matt.
once Sam Bradford gets injured after week 4 again, Josh Rosen's going to be stepping in. And if you remember from last season, he was one of the top players I had on my bad QB board coming into this year. He is really talented, but the Arizona Cardinals might be one of the worst teams in the NFL. And as a rookie
And they
quarterback,
throw. They
they
throw.
throw a lot. And as a rookie quarterback behind a terrible offensive line and a terrible supporting cast and a horrible defense and a brand new head coach, once Sam Bradford gets hurt, because that will happen, he's going to be a top pick. And to go off that, Sam Darnold starts for the Jets as a rookie week 1, throwing him into the fire.
Clearly
love that.
His hair slick was better than Josh McCown's.
I love taking rookie quarterbacks in the bad QB league. I think that's pretty obvious. And then Joe Flacco.
Elite.
I think I don't know if he lasts the whole year. I really don't think Joe Flacco lasts the whole year. I think we might see Lamar Jackson by the end of the year.
Elite.
And I don't think that Lamar Jackson's going to be a good bad QB pick.
So
'cause he
when
gets
you
a lot of
pick
rushing
that
yards.
game that Flacco gets benched because of how terribly he's doing and gets replaced, that's the game that he gets 40 points for you.
Yeah, so that is the game that he does get 40 points. And I think that Flacco will be great at the beginning of the year, but I think he will literally be such a horrible quarterback that he won't be playing.
Well, speaking of Lamar
Tony
Jackson,
redirects to a new clip.
This is
speaking of
great.
Lamar Jackson, here's just a little.
Is this that Kiko
Just so the
Alonso
folks
hit?
at home can see. Here's a little example of what Lamar Jackson can do.
Is this that Kiko Alonso hit? Nope.
That's touchdown right there, baby.
Wedded.
So if that does happen, if he does replace Joe Flacco, that's what you have to look forward to.
a non-draftable quarterback.
You don't want those running touchdowns.
Yeah, he's just a playmaker, and he has the potential to be Mike Vick 2.0, and that's legit. And we all know how amazing he was. So
True
This
that.
is Sean Watson clip, will you?
Oh well, this is what I wanted to end on. If this is all we wanted, if this is
do you
we're
guys
wrapping
have any?
up.
Do you guys have any like sleeper picks? Like if somebody gets hurt, do you have like some team that you think?
Brogan.
Like I think
Brogan.
like if Tyrod gets hurt, I don't think I'd want to draft Baker. Like I think Baker might put up
I think
some
he's going to be a decent
actual
quarterback.
fantasy points. Yeah. So I don't think I think I might stay away from him. But it's the Browns.
I know that Deshaun Kaiser is the backup in Green Bay now. Former Cleveland Browns
and
starting
number
quarterback.
1 point scorer in the bad quarterback league last year.
Turn up.
So if Deshaun Kaiser ever gets a shot, he's I'm not gonna say irrelevant. He's the number 1 pick every week unless you're a fool.
Yeah.
But I haven't won this league, so I you know.
Yeah.
sit on
Now
that side
he
of
has
the table, but-
he is
Speaking
actually
of, Tony,
getting coaching.
Can we bring up the second Aaron?
Sure.
Yeah, right there.
Okay.
Yeah, Aaron hasn't
just
won
so
any
everybody
of these.
knows.
Just so we know.
I would never.
Just
claim-
so the
I would-
facts are out.
Yeah, I would never claim to be a great player in this league. I'm just here to have fun.
I'm just here so I won't get fined.
I'm glad you have your facts straight, though. That is a true statement.
We came prepared. I
Both
figured
of them, actually.
I figured you'd say
Now that I
something
think
like
about it,
that.
both of them are very true.
Yeah. I think
Well,
we need to wrap
I think
it
this
up.
is the
Let's
best
do
way
it.
to end on it. Just to remind us all why we love watching this sport. Here's Deshaun Watson getting absolutely destroyed. Now you can't see it well there, but just wait for the replay. It was an interception.
Nice
Just
pass
Which makes
to
it
the
just
defense.
tailor-made bad quarterback league
Tailor-made.
play there.
Tailor-made. Aaron doesn't like to see this because Deshaun Watson's on his actual
Now he got up.
fantasy
He
team.
got up. He's okay, but he took a little bit of a shot.
Oh, he's about to die.
Foul. That's a foul.
Two
It's
fouls.
illegal.
Foul.
That's a clean hit.
Double flag.
That's a clean hit in 2018
Flag.
NFL.
Yeah.
Flag. He's on my team.
there you go.
Flag.
I think that's all we got,
On
man.
that note.
I'm looking forward to a really good season.
Me too.
I think we've got a good group here. I'm interested to see how Cam does. I'm interested to see how Marianne does.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man.
I'm interested to watch me win.
I'm
what I'm
interested.
Is that your pick? I don't know if we ever got to
I'm
it.
picking it. Me for the champ.
Besides you, who would you pick?
Me.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right,
I'm looking forward to the segments that we're going to be doing on the podcast.
Yes,
throughout the year.
we should say, if anybody wants to come on the podcast, bring your own PowerPoint slideshow or whatever format you
Please.
like that we can display on screen.
OG Bobby
We are
Johnson.
welcome to do that.
Please
Yes.
bring a segment because we are out of ideas.
Yeah.
With that being said, my name's Gator Strand,
And I'm Tony Dilatell.
and this is 3 Step Flop.
Bye.
Flip flop flame.